Welcome to the GainzCast. I'm Marc Lobliner alongside
Matt Marano.
So today is an extra special day. We have the reigning Olympia champ, the 15th ever. 15, there's only 15 of them.
Yep.
15th, Mr. Olympia, and that is Brandon Curry. What's going on, Brandon?
Hey guys, thank you guys. Thank you for the invitation. Hanging in there in Kuwait right now. Energy's low from time to time, but prep is going good so far.
So that brings the first question I have for you, and this is actually one of the first questions I ever asked you after we kind of started, hanging out, our families became friends and everything. It's, what's a normal day like as you're prepping in Kuwait?
Well, let's see. My days start pretty late. So I wake up around 10 or so, do some cardio, fasted typically, and then I go to one of the baddest restaurants, go grab me some breakfast, come back. Typically, we've been training around 2 or 3. Then, so if we train around 3, then I'll eat another quick meal before I train. If not, then I'll wait till after. But basically, I spend most of my days after training just eating, trying to stay on schedule. And then I'm up pretty late, so I don't go to bed till maybe a little bit 4 a.m. in the morning because I'm normally putting everybody else to bed in the U.S. and then I'm out after that.
So that's quite a dynamic because you have family here. So we have a huge time differential. I've actually done that kind of travel where you're on a separate time schedule. So what's your day? So how often you get to talk to your family?
Say it again. What is the question? My bad.
So basically you have a different schedule now, traveling, being all over the world, being in a separate time zone. How often do you get to talk to your family?
Oh man, I talk to my wife almost right after I'm done with my cardio and I'm kind of eating and everything. I could talk to her pretty much after that. I'll message her. Sometimes she's up early getting the kids ready for school. So I just was on the phone with her before I got on this podcast. We talk all throughout the day. So until I go to bed, I'm probably on and off the phone with them throughout the day.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations on Max. His team's going to the national championships. They won state.
Oh man, they killed it this year. They only played in the fourth quarter in this last championship game. So they had a crazy season, and man, it's nothing crazier than to see Max excel again this season. Played strong on defense this year, held the score down, and then he ended up being able to score a winning touchdown for this last championship game, which is I know really, really big for him. So I'm really proud.
We actually went to his game. I believe it was 3 weeks ago. My wife and I did, and the whole family went. It was kind of cool because they didn't even get to the fourth quarter. They were their goal was not to win the game; it was to end the game early. That was their whole goal. They had no question if they were going to win or if they were going to whatever. They just wanted to end the game early and go eat.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. It was fun to watch.
That was the trend all season. It's just end this game early by the third quarter.
It was so fun to watch. What a baller. And when he got the ball, you just knew it was almost unfair to give him the ball. Yeah. Because you knew he was going to either you run somebody over or outrun them or something. And that was awesome. And our daughters actually played all during the lockdown. They were practicing together every day with those pros in Nashville, which was actually really cool. All your kids are ballers, man.
Well, I guess I give credit to, mom's genes as well as mine, but we just keep them busy, man, and whatever they excel in, they excel in. So just keep them busy; they'll find something they're good at eventually.
That's so awesome. Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun to watch them develop. I believe Brandy is coming to Cammie's game in Louisville on, I think it's Sunday, because she's going to be at the same tournament. So that's going to be really fun, man. It's going to be a blast to watch those kids. Yeah, but I'm really excited for you, man. And so just getting back to training, right now we have 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks.
It's about a month.
Yeah.
We'll just call it around month.
How many days of training are you doing? Like your training split, and how much cardio a day are you doing? Are you allowed to talk about that or?
Oh, sure. Right now, cardio for me is 50 minutes. 50 minutes straight in the morning, pretty much on the empty stomach. That's actually dropped think it was like 25 minutes over the past week. As soon as I get here, I start cardio. I don't do cardio on the off season.
Yeah.
As soon as I get here, he starts me on a high cardio regimen, and then he just keeps feeding me. And then eventually we reach a point to where we start dropping the cardio back out, which is the goal. And so we'll start probably dropping more out as the show gets closer. But as of right now, I'm actually in a groove, like doing cardio. It's I don't know, I'm in a groove right now. I just feel like it just lasts any extra effort to make me come in better. As far as training splits, typically we do a training bodybuilder split. We train every body part every 4 to 5 days. So let's say if we start with chest, it'll be chest and buys, back and tries, shoulder day, and then we'll have a leg day. And we'll take off on Fridays. So wherever those days fall, Friday will give me maybe that 5th day. If not, I would train it every 4 days.
Wow. It's pretty simple, but obviously effective. And how long a lot of people think like, okay, you're in Kuwait, you're training for 8 hours a day. How long are your weight training sessions? I know these sound elementary, but these are the things people ask me to ask you. So I want to know, how long is your weight training session?
Well, my sections are probably not over 90 minutes. Depending on if it's back, back we typically run like 6, 7 exercises. For legs, of course, we're hitting hams and quads, so it maybe run a little longer, and maybe I'll do some stretching and accessory work after legs just to stay loose and not be overly tight. So I'm not in the gym longer than 2 hours on a training day. That means relaxing, chilling, doing everything else besides training as well. So I'm not in the gym all day. We do have phases where we do 2 a days and maybe 4 a month straight, 3 weeks at a time. But those come and those go. And at this point in the preparation, we're not at a 2-a-day phase. So we're not spending as much time in the gym.
That's, you think like you're in Kuwait, like my first thought is training camp, like a boxer, like you're going to be in there the full time, you're all there, but it's all about recovery and rest. And that's the thing. I mean, you have 4 kids and we all know you can't focus on yourself. When there's 4 kids, it's just hard to do. And they don't care. Like they're going to bug you no matter how deep in prep you are. So how big of a factor do you think going to Kuwait was? I mean, obviously coming from last place just a few years ago to winning Mr. Olympia, how big of a factor do you think it is to get out there basically on an island of prep and just focus on prep? And then obviously, being able to totally devote your time to your craft.
Well, it's definitely huge. It's a big deal because let's say if you're trying to gain weight off season wise, you got to put in all the calories first of all. So you have that window of time when you're eating. But I find that, I grow best, I gain best when I sleep. When I'm able to sleep, when my body feels like sleeping, basically.
Yeah.
Because when I'm here, and I'm training, I'm beat up. When I'm in trying to gain weight, I just end up falling asleep sometimes. And it could be right after a meal, but I have the time to do that. I have the time to recover as much as I need. Right now, in the final stages of prep, as we get closer, my body doesn't want to sleep as much. But I'm trying to be as consistent and spot on as possible, so my day doesn't fluctuate, doesn't change much. Every day is pretty much the same. Every day is pretty much spot on. I'm in a routine. I'm in a groove, and I can assess my energy levels because each day is pretty much the same. So what I'm finding right now at this point, I know I'm pushing a little hard because I'm staying sore longer with the calorie reduction. And I'm like, man, my body's sore a little bit longer. So it's like, okay, I'm at a point to where if I keep on pushing too hard at this point, I can push myself into a hole. I've been there before. So I got to make sure my recovery is as good as it would be in the off season when I have so much time to rest and sleep and recover. If I'm home, all these specific factors, they're not in the equation. It's what needs to be done then, there, and how can I help? And, sometimes your bodybuilding responsibilities, of course, take a back seat. You're like, okay, let me do this right now, and I can grab my meal as soon as I finish. Oh, let me go handle this. The boys are not getting along. Let me go do this, because it's just so much to juggle. But when I'm here, we can basically focus on all the minute details of bodybuilding, and I can assess myself better, my stress levels. My coach knows by my attitude, if I'm overtrained or not. He knows when I need to eat. He knows when I eat. He's like, he looks at me. He said, "Man, we need some sushi or something." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, you need quiet. You're not yourself." So he knows kind of like, when it's wearing on me. Plus he trains with me as well. So he can kind of get an assessment of how.
How's the sushi in Kuwait?
Well.
That's like my favorite food.
Sushi in Kuwait?
Yeah.
Yeah, sushi in Kuwait is actually pretty good. It's got a good sushi spot out here. To be honest, they have all kind of food out here. They love food out here.
Bro, where's your favorite sushi spot around here in Franklin Brentwood area? I'm still in the hunt.
Well, he's in Murfreesboro, man.
Oh, Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
I might if there's good sushi, I'll drive for it.
Well, I used to go to a place called Samurai in Murfreesboro, and they used to be a pretty decent sushi place for the area. Actually, Murfreesboro, don't ask me, I know it's pretty competitive in the sushi industry at one point. I knew all the restaurants and, who was the best, who was the cheapest, the best, But I haven't been eating a lot of sushi since the shutdown and everything. So I don't know how good they are right now, but I know they used to be my go-to as far as current.
Okay.
We found a decent place in Franklin. What was it called? Jasmine or something? I think it was pretty good. It was all right. It was decently priced too. I was pretty excited about it. There's an all you can eat spot in Murfreesboro too. The bodybuilders like to. Okay, that's kind of where we need to find.
You've got my attention.
Okay, now that's where as soon as
hold on. Is it like the all you can eat one flat rate type deal? Because we had that in New York, and that was my go-to, man.
It's a menu. It's a menu, right? Everything on the menu.
It's a checklist, right? You just mark off what you want.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yes.
Okay, we're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's on the plans for next weekend.
Cool. I'm down.
That sounds good. So you say you basically train and you eat all day. Like, can you give us? Do you have an idea of how much food are you eating? I don't know how to even put that into perspective because some people some do meals, some do macros. Like, do you have any idea how much food you're eating this close to prep, this close to the show?
I know I'm not eating as much as I would used to expect to. I find that the eating for me is a lot easier. We don't do a calorie thing. We measure everything weight wise. So we measure my carb sources weight wise. So I eat rice and pretty much sweet potato or white potato as my main sources. For breakfast, let's say right now I'm doing 250 grams of mashed potato. My next meal will be 200 grams of rice, which is pretty dropped substantially. Mm-hmm. And the meal after this, let's see, we do 200 grams of sweet potato. And then, let's see, the meal after that we do, I guess the last amount of carbohydrates would be 200 more grams of carbohydrates weight-wise. So that's pretty much it for the whole day right now. And I'm actually feeling pretty decent. Every day to day, is different. I will say that some days I don't feel decent until after I'm done working out for some reason, eating my next meal. Then I actually come to life. But sometimes I'm just dragging throughout the day. Okay, I got to get this done. And then some days like today, my energy levels have been halfway decent. So don't ask me why. It's random, but I'll take it. And protein goes from 220 to 250 grams of protein for most meals. Most of the meals are 250 grams, to be honest, unless we go steak or I have bites. I think I have 10 egg whites and 3 whole eggs in the morning as well for breakfast. So that's kind of a gist of how I eat I eat 3 fish meals. I'm eating 6 meals a day, 3 fish meals with 250 grams of fish. And most of those meals don't have carbs in most of the fish meals anyway. The last 2 anyway. So basically that's what's that. 250, 200, 200, and 200. So that's about 850 grams of grams of carbohydrates out of rice and potato. So it's not a lot for me because I think about my off season and oh man, it's completely different.
Yeah, there's a lot of food. I've kind of seen it. He ate before we ate. He was he had a pre-meal, pre-game. People drink before they go out. He eats before he goes out. He's okay, we're about to go eat. Let me get a meal in.
Exactly.
It's a hard job. So you're currently the reigning Mr. Olympia. And normally when you go into a show, you look online and everybody's talking you need to beat the reigning Mr. Olympia. This year with social media, things are a bit flipped because you have a weird scenario where you have a 7-time Mr. Olympia who's not you look at when Ronnie came back, like he was kind of past his prime. You know, he had his lat issue. And you look at now, you have a 7-time Mr. Olympia who, let's say that had an issue with his stomach, who had surgery on it.
Allegedly.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, whatever the situation is.
There was a stomach issue. No, I don't know how to say this without insult. I don't want to be insulting and I don't want to assume something I don't know.
I could be the dick here if you need me to.
Well, I don't need you to be the dick. But so, I mean, I'm trying. So Phil, he'll even admit, like his stomach was off in 2018. Brandon wins in 2019, but people think that Phil, because he got that surgery, everything's all hunky-dory, his stomach is fine. So now you have a situation where if you look online, a lot of people are talking like, well, Brandon needs to prove himself and beat Phil. And that's a complete flip to what we normally see. And how is that? Like you're the champion. Everybody should be talking like Phil needs to come at Brandon, when all I'm seeing, and you might be seeing it too, and you're much better than me at like overlooking things, just being very nonchalant about it. But how is that going in as the reigning champ with the chatter being that you have something to prove?
It's a very comfortable position, actually.
That's awesome.
For me, it's like when I've not been in this position, you know. And now we got a big pay-per-view event because Phil Heath decided to come to the table. So for me, I'm happy. It's a good position for me because it doesn't change anything for me, except I guess the reward is bigger.
You know, it's weird that oddly makes sense.
You know what? I've always in my life, and this is not by any means, but I've always thrived on being the underdog and proving people wrong. Is that kind of your mentality? Like you kind of like that come from behind kind of approach to everything?
I had to learn that. Experience. You know, I haven't always been the underdog. And matter of fact, coming into the industry, you know, there was a lot of attention on me once they realized who I was. But having gone from being on a high to going on the low and everybody counting you out, you kind of develop that mentality because if you're stubborn like I am, you fight back mentally, and then it ends up because you can't do anything physically. So you resist, and you hope to persevere. So that's just me. So I've gained that mentality. So I've been in that position so long now that it's comfortable for me right now. So it's not a problem.
Well, the good news is if and when, I've already made it known my thoughts on the situation are Phil at 100%, like 2013 Phil is a really hard challenger to beat, but I don't think we saw the best Brandon Curry. I told you that before, you went so hard on the Arnold that your prep for the Olympia was extremely tough. And you had to do much more cardio and your body was beat up. Now you've had a complete year off. So everybody's talking like, well, Phil brings his best. I'm like, has anybody seen Brandon's best yet?
I don't think we have yet.
Everybody romanticizes. Like when Ronnie was on top, everybody wanted to see Jay beat him. When Phil was on top, everybody wanted to see Kai beat him. People love that shit.
They love rivalries.
Yeah.
They love stirring the pot, making shit a little bit more interesting.
So you had Ronnie versus Jay, Phil versus Kai, and now you have Phil versus Brandon. So that brings up, so it's basically everybody's looking at you and Phil. Who in the Olympia lineup, other than you and Phil, do you think, and obviously I think you're thinking everybody's my threat, everybody's a threat, because everybody up there is phenomenal. Who would you say are the next one or two guys that you're like, you got to be careful with those guys? Like those guys might come up.
Well, you just got to go with the numbers. And basically, I look at the competition last year. My first person comes to my mind is William Bonac, of course.
Yeah.
Second last year, definitely threat. Won the Arnold last year. Pretty consistent bodybuilder. So you always got to make sure you're in your game and you're up against him because he's able to do that Dexter Jackson thing and take some better physiques out if he brings in his full package, of course. And then you go with Hadi. If Hadi is able to make it, he can make a big impact because he's still got that newness on him, and people want to see him do well. He may not have the structure, but he has some of that gnarly conditioning that everybody likes. So he's somebody you got to look out for. Plus, his stage game is very aggressive. He has a presence on stage. He knows how to perform well on stage. You got to be looking for a fight when Hotties on stage, you know, Hotties, I should say. But yeah, and then of course, I guess I will. People would be mad at me if I didn't mention the likes of like Big Ramy because he's coming back.
Yeah.
So we'll see him on stage. It's been since what 2000. Was it 18?
That's a large man. That is a large man.
It's a big dude.
That's a big dude. Like just a big dude.
Yeah, if he's able to capitalize and bring in what everybody's looking for him to bring in, I guess he can definitely shock everybody. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for us all when it comes to getting on that stage. This is a very interesting year. I can't say I've been impressed with any of the updates yet, but I'm looking forward to stepping on stage and competing and seeing all the guys. Bring the packages and just let the judges sort it out. But of course, I'm looking to win. That's just I don't know. I cannot think about anything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have no choice. You're in a desert. there's nothing else. There's nothing going on.
To think of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be like The Walking Dead, where he wakes up from a coma and he's like, "What the hell happened to this place? Like, we got a new president. Everything's crazy. We don't even know who the president is here right now. Everything's going like, dude, can I come out there with you?" Like, I think
he's gonna get off the plane and be like, "Nope, go right back to Kuwait." He's
gonna just be like, maybe we should just move out here. But that's so. When we first learned about Phil coming back, I did a video and I actually predicted my top 3, and it was you, Phil, and I always put you and Phil where I put some asterisks behind it because we don't like the last Phil we saw in 18 was not the best Phil. He looked great from the back, but from the front, it wasn't Phil. So if Phil can bring back his fire physiques, then that's a hell of a show. If he can't, he got beat by Roden. I don't think Roden, and I love Sean to death, but I think you and him head to head, and you're in condition, he's in condition. I think, most people would say that Brandon beat Sean, but the last time we saw Phil, Sean beat Phil handily. I thought he won that show pretty handily. Yeah. So I had the top 3 being you, Phil, and I put a caveat, and that's Flex Lewis. I thought he would come and surprise everybody because that man, without any weight restrictions, I mean, you've known him for years. Like I put him as a dark horse. Like he could come in and be the unicorn and just come in like Lee Priest back in the day and place 3. So Lee Priest, not Lee Priest, so Flex, they're very similar. So Flex is out. Like what do you think about that? Do you think if Flex was in the show, he'd pose a big threat? Was that something you were looking at? Like a big showdown between you and Flex and Phil? I mean, I put him in very high regards, but I've never seen him against anybody above 5'1". So what do you think?
Well, Flex is a professional. He's been in the game a while now. He's very seasoned. You can expect him to bring a really good package pretty consistently. But, there's a lot of question marks. What would be the strategy of him coming into the open competition? Would it be a game mask, which on some frames can distort the physique a little bit if you go overboard? Would it be just bringing his crisp conditioning and hoping he would fare well against some of the bigger guys with their fuller, maybe a bit rounder? So, he was always in the radar as a respect issue, knowing that he has a popularity. His name carries his own weight. But, he wasn't. I wasn't envisioning it as a me Flex and Phil fight necessarily. No, I wouldn't say that. But I did expect him to be in the mix in the top 5 at least.
Okay, so I wasn't far off. I had him top 3. Top 5 is very close.
That's close.
That's close enough. I'll take that as a win. I think
it's no Qdoba or Chipotle, but
no, it's not. So what is So you come back here. What are you most looking forward to when you touch down and you're in the U.S. and you're in wherever the Olympia is going to be held, and you're there? What are you most looking forward to coming back here? Other than taking home the Olympia title for the second time, like what are you most looking forward to?
Wow. Can I single that out? Well, man. It's hard to single out. There's so much to look forward to.
Give us a list. Like what do you miss most? Like obviously you probably miss your family a little bit. I wouldn't, but
of course I miss my family, man. I wish I could see some of those games. So, I definitely miss that. And then, I do miss some of the chaos because I sit around here and I hear crickets. Well, not really crickets. I don't have any crickets around here, but I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, there's no chaos, there's no noise, there's no awkward laughing and giggling.
Yeah.
So I do miss that. Of course, I miss my wife a lot. I can't say I don't miss her because, I'm sure it's a dry place out here right now. And I don't have any company, no female company. So, I miss that.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
The female company part. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would have started with female company.
But I don't want to be one track mind kind of guy.
Well, I totally am. I totally am. Yeah, I mean, okay, that's pretty much
Yep, that covers that question.
Yeah, that's it. Moving on. No, but the thing is, when he taught, like, that'd be such a drastic. Like, when I travel, like, my family and his family are very parallel. They're very loud.
Yeah.
And our kids, like, they will break everything in the house, and that's what they're used to. So imagine you go from complete chaos with four type A, just complete rambunctious kids and their friends sometimes, and then you're sitting in a desert training and eating. Like, that's got to be nuts.
Yeah. It's pretty drastic.
Sometimes I can get in some situations where, it's kind of can get, loud and rambunctious around here too. But, a lot of times I say to myself as well, because I'm just focused on what I need to do for the most part. And they get me out of the seclusion whenever they think I've been in it too long. So they call me like, "What you doing? Let's go here. Let's do this."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Man, I need to sleep, man. I need to sleep."
Yeah. I mean, this is the big show, man. This is crazy. And hopefully, everything comes together like I think it will. And I've seen, with Brandy here, I've seen some stuff that you haven't posted. And obviously, your strategy is to post old pics, so you're giving people kind of a hint of what's going on. But
I don't know if we're allowed to tell people that.
But Brandon, man, I've never seen you look insane. Like, if you stay like this is. And again, it's different when you're standing on stage under lights next to people.
Yeah.
But this makes the old pictures when people were like, where did Brandon come from? It makes that look like a second tier Brandon. And that's why I say no one's seen the best Brandon Curry yet. No one's seen that.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, that's the goal for me. It's to bring, next level package for my physique. That's my only responsibility, I feel. And I feel that if I can do that, then I can take away the win. The key for me from year to year has been my ability to improve in some form of fashion. And that's what put me on the top of the bodybuilding food chain. And I think I can continue to do that. So makes me very confident coming into this Olympia.
Yeah, I am definitely looking forward to this one.
It's going to be exciting.
So the cool thing is, like, we've seen some of your footage from Kuwait. You've seen you post on Instagram and everything. And the question is, like, is phone quality that bad in Kuwait? Like, are you actually filming on a potato? Or
let me tell you, I got a story for that one. I got a great story for that. I just figured it out weeks ago. And first of all, my coach had a certain phone. He got a new phone. I'm thinking, okay, this should be great. But the pictures were still turning out pixelated, and it was just irritating me. So I couldn't figure it out. I talked to Brandy about it. We were trying to figure it out. I was trying to adjust the settings on his camera, look at the settings and see what was going on. And then all this time, he was taking the pictures of Snapchat. And I'm just like, you open your Snapchat to take pictures, open the camera, so it was like, so he's got his Snapchat quality, it's good for a face and filters and stuff, but it's not good they love Snapchat out here, by the way, if you didn't understand, they love Snapchat, so Snapchat is crazy. So yeah, instead of opening his camera, he would take pictures of me with Snapchat, and he doesn't have to steady his hand at that. So it's not like it doesn't have the live action adjustment just in case you wobble a little bit.
Oh my God.
So I had to turn that on his phone and everything and get it, and then he's taking better pictures now.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
It took me a while to figure that out.
He should have put the little puppy dog ears with the tongue that goes out with the Snapchat.
That would have given it away.
That would have been amazing. That is so fun, because I was like, what the hell is he filming with? And now we, at least you figured it out. Like, That was kind of like us trying to figure out the Zoom right now, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Except it wasn't Snapchat. That's so funny. So, Brandon, this prep versus, let's say, all other preps, whether it's mental, physical, or anything, what is the main difference between this prep and your other preps?
Well, the main difference is the most noticeable for me is the community support in Kuwait. I mean, the amount of people that stop me driving down the road and want to take pictures or waving or even know who I am. The amount of people out here screaming my name and I don't know where it's coming from on the street. It's changed around here. So
yeah, they're fanatics out there, right? Things. They love bodybuilding.
Well, you know, a certain part of the community is very, very fanatical. But what surprised me is like when a middle-aged woman that, you know, I didn't think would be involved in the sport is saying your name from a window and you go, is she talking to me? And they're waving like, Brandon, and they know you're like, oh, like how in the world would you, like, you know, people that you wouldn't think would be. Because this is, you know, bodybuilding here is mostly a masculine, male-dominated sport. The gyms are all male. There's no women in them.
Wow.
So you understand that there'll be male fans, but when somebody's mom that has, you know, in Kuwait is saying your name and waving, like she knows who you are, that's very strange for me here anyway. But besides that, being fresh, man, being very, very fresh, having a longer rest this season, not competing early in the spring, and the show's in December. So I haven't been this fresh and responsive in a while. So it's been a much less stressful prep when your body's responding the way it is when it's responding really well.
That's awesome. I mean, we're definitely looking forward to the Olympia.
Yeah.
I think this will be the best Mr. Olympia we've ever seen. You have a lot of athletes. You hopefully we get everything figured out with where it's going to be, how it's going to be, and all that good stuff. But I'm really looking forward to bringing bodybuilding. I think bodybuilding can help get people out of this rut we're in right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's something people have looked forward to. And I'm looking forward to see, I mean, I know you were excited when Phil decided to do the show. I know you were actually, everybody's like, oh man, now Brandon's got, and you were like, cool, awesome, let's do it. That's what's awesome is that, well, it's like a professional fighter who wants to fight the best.
He wants to fight the best.
He's not dodging the fight. You know what I mean? Creed is fighting Rocky.
Yeah.
If the fans, they were paying attention last year, that's all I was talking about this as well. You know, it's Phil coming back in 2019, you know. I was asking that question, you know, he was kind of hitting like he was, and then everybody's questioning whether he was, and then it turned out he wasn't. So that was kind of disappointing. So I didn't think I would have the opportunity. I thought he was just going to be gone after that. But, you know, then he made the announcement, and it's like, whoa, you know, it's like a big opportunity I thought I was going to miss. Because people don't understand. Like, I think my first NPC magazine, I remember in my apartment, ever looking at had Phil Heath in it. And he was, I think he at the Junior Nationals when he won the juniors, and he had also the USAs in there when he turned pro. So I'm looking at this guy thinking, oh man, this guy's the guy, because I'm coming up right behind him, and they started calling him the Gift, and I had an email called Brandon's Gifted. So I thought, oh man, they just took a moniker that you know, a nickname or something for me or whatever. So I was following this guy, and I actually got to meet him in Hawaii before he went pro. So and I admired him, and then we ended up being coached by the same coach, Hani, who was my first coach ever. And I got to see Phil in his first off season at 270 in my room, stepping on the scale when I was preparing for a contest. And so I got to see some intimate moments. I had some intimate moments with Phil. So I think I understand Phil pretty well. And, I think he's misunderstood in some ways, and he's a great athlete. So I've been chasing him for a long time, and I've always dreamed and had the idea. And, we've even briefly discussed, competing against each other once upon a time in the future. So to see it actually happen is going to happen, when I'm at this level of my career. It's a very exciting opportunity for me. I mean, I enjoy the sport, bodybuilding, the competitive side, and I think Phil's one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. And why wouldn't I want to be compared to one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time? Damn,
dude, have you ever thought of going into politics? That was like That was awesome. That was no, you wouldn't make it. It wouldn't. No, you're
Brandon's
too nice.
way too nice.
No, you couldn't do it. But dude, that is wow. Like that's one way to look at it. It's like the respect, and hopefully it can be returned because things can get a little bit nasty in competition, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully he shares the same kind of sentiment on that. But yeah.
When we're on the stage, we talk about the stage. The stage is it's a different animal. On the stage. So when we're on the stage, it's nothing. It's nothing but competition. Actually, as soon as we step foot into wherever we're going to have the Olympia, it's going to be nothing but competition mode. Of course, I'm going to be nice and cordial like I am to everybody, respectful. But when it comes to who's going to walk away with the title, it's not. I'm going to be nice, but I'm not going to be nice and give you a chance to take it from me.
Nah, you know what? The one thing is, you remember Pumping Iron when Arnold, I give Franco advices, but they're not the right advices.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to play Brandon like Franco. No, I don't think it's going to happen. What's funny? I was shared on a lot of bodybuilding Instagrams, whatever, because I said, did I just say it out of nowhere? I said that you would beat Dorian on stage.
You said that on this podcast.
I said that on this podcast, not this one. And the reason I said it is because we always romanticize about the past. And if you look at when Dorian said what he did about you, actually a lot of people did these comparison videos. And I never watch YouTube, but I drive a lot. So when I'm driving, I'll put the phone on the dashboard and I'll kind of watch it passively to keep me from getting bored and falling asleep. And I drive through bumfuck nowhere. So I'm looking at this and there's a comparison of you and your legs, and you're actually bigger. And I would argue leaner. Dorian got grainy, but he never really had glutes. He had graininess, but they weren't striated, where you come in with glutes. And I think just overall shape-wise, I looked at it and I said, you know what? I think just objectively speaking, and again, I'm the first one to tell you here, if Phil comes at his best, it's going to be a hell of a battle. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, but I have you placing, he's like, no, he wouldn't get top 6. And I'm like, okay, we always romanticize about the past. Like, I don't want to talk trash about Arnold, but unless, it's a different time, we train differently. His legs, imagine his legs on even a national stage right now. Like, and I'm not dissing Arnold. He's one of the greatest of all times for his time, but we progress. People evolve. Bodybuilding evolves, whether it's smaller, whether it's bigger, whether we're a different bodybuilding world now. We have a different class of athlete. And I do think in the 90s, the golden era, where you had the pro qualifier with Cormier, Flex, Ronnie, Mendenhall, you had all these freaks on stage at one time. You would not only hang, I think you would have beat Dorian. And I remember watching that. He's like, you wouldn't place top 6. And then of course you're respectful about it. I'm not as respectful as you. I'm like, wait a second. That was a complete diss. Like, and that's kind of like a US president coming out and talking trash about an incoming president. It's like, dude, like this is your next generation. You don't trash him like that. But I know Dorian. I know that's how he is. But looking at the past, I do think that bodybuilding has evolved. And I do think the guys today, I think Boniak would place well. I think Flex would. I put Flex up. Look at Lee Priest was placing top 3. I think Flex Lewis beats Lee Priest any day of the week. Any day of the week. So what are your thoughts about old versus new bodybuilding? I know you got stuff to do. You got prep to go on. But like you look at the old generation, and I know you have to respect your elders. But do you think the guys today, in this dream world, we're able to go back to the future, get in our DeLorean and do all that? Do you think the guys today would be in the running back in the late 90s, early 2000s?
Well, first of all, I'll just say it's my opinion, but I would say definitely yes. I started to realize the perception of a lot of the fans and what we had access to when it came to looking at bodybuilders in the 90s was just basically the magazines. And when you try to sell magazines, you are going to present the features in a light that's going to best highlight them. Everything's going to be basically they're going to take the best photos that put in the magazine to cover the event. Back in the day, also they had dark backstage, so the stage behind everybody was dark. So the lighting really created more depth. Versus today, you got a lot of LED lights. You got a lot of lights and stuff going on behind the athletes, which is not the black curtain treatment that we used to get. So it's not going to give you that depth look. So you got the combination of magazines, you got the combinations of the stage setup without all the technology behind you interfering with the physiques, and then you just have you have a sport in the back of the day that wanted to present itself bigger than life. So they made the athletes look a certain way. Now you have an open world where basically the athletes are responsible for covering themselves, and any picture that's taken at any event in any position can be put out there and broadcast all over the internet. No matter if it's in your best shot, no matter if you finish hitting the shot or not. And then you have to deal with the constant desensitization to physiques.
Yeah.
When once every month you're waiting to get that magazine to check out these physiques, you're grateful for what you're looking at. Now you're looking at physiques all day, every day, just scrolling. So you just have less appreciation because I think people have too much access and they don't really know how to judge the sport in the proper context to errors. In the proper context, first of all, my first impression if you would ask me, let's say maybe a year or so ago, if I thought I could beat Dorian, if I thought I was a better body than Dorian, I would have said no. But then I stumbled upon some comparison video that had what I thought was a great Dorian Yates and was putting pictures beside him with Dorian, and I'm beside him comparing me to Dorian, and I was just like, for the first time, it hit me like, wow, well, it changed my opinion of how much of a good bodybuilder I was. Not saying Dorian Yates is a bad bodybuilder.
Phenomenal.
He's an incredible bodybuilder. Yeah. He has certain things that made him stand out in the day that other athletes just didn't have. But the game of bodybuilding is a little bit different since Dorian left. And if you compare him against the game of today's bodybuilding, he may not compare well if you're judging by today's standards. Back then, he was bringing something new to the game. The mass game was dominating. It was new. The hard graininess that he brought was with the size was just a new thing for everybody to see. And he was able to get away with the mystique of being mysterious and coming out and surprising every year. Should Dorian have won every Olympia that they gave to him? Most people would say no. And another thing that really bugs me is how all the guys back then say everybody was in condition all the time.
No, they did not have. People don't realize if you don't have glutes now, you're not competing.
Yeah.
Back then, one guy would have glutes at the show. Nobody had glutes. Glutes are now standard. If you don't have shredded glutes, all those top three, Boniak, Phil, Brandon, they're all going to have shredded glutes. None of the top three, from Cormier to Flex, none of them had glute striations. And that is not a knock to them. That is just saying how you can't compare the generations.
It's an evolution of the sport.
Yeah. It's a different era. It's a different era to compare. And the thing is, it's not a knock on the guys, but they keep coming in great conditions. Don't get me wrong; it was great conditioning in a certain show, but a lot of those shows have been refiltered. They throw a little layer on top of it, and they present it as in the best light. They kind of made those things look freaky. Like, what is it? The British Grand Prix show.
Yeah.
That everybody looks freaking incredible when it came out. It's got a filter layered over the video to make everything look crazy. But people don't take it into context with modern technology, what they can do to that old stuff.
Yeah.
So, but you continue to look at more competitions that they don't really publicize. Now that we have the internet, we can kind of go through some of the archives and look at some of these things. Milos is constantly posting old photos from back in the day, and you look at it and you say, well, no, that level of conditioning is not necessarily, insane at every single event. Sometimes those guys were off. Some of the best guys were off a lot of times, from Kevin to Flex, to even Ronnie. Ronnie wasn't on all the time.
No, not at all. And I have a story. I was actually at Weider Publications. I was working at Muscle and Fitness and Flex when you came on the scene. And I remember seeing you, and you were honestly like, I'm like, that's a pretty young man. You were a good looking dude, came on the scene. Basically a flawless physique, just not as big as you need to be as a pro bodybuilder. And a funny story about Weider, I remember the first time I walked in the art room and they had a picture of Gunther Schlagerkamp. Everybody remember Gunther, right? The guy who beat Ronnie at the 2001 Show of Strength. I was there. And So Gunther, his picture, he had a natural divot in his chest. It was like his chest started like he had a natural cavity, like the way. So then they showed me the after, and his chest was full and round and not one hole in it. All the pictures that you saw in those magazines, and probably still do if anybody still reads magazines, were touched up to the point of a glamour shot you got in the mall where the ugly girls look like supermodels back in high school.
They trick me every time.
Yeah, they absolutely. It's the ones you see on Tinder that he sees on Tinder, Brandon. He's on Tinder. He's a young dude, man. He's in his 20s, man. He's not
20s in a new part of the country, man. You cannot blame me.
He's not longing for female companionship at all at this point. But people don't realize the rehashed photos you see from Muscle and Fitness and Flex and MD and Ironman, those things were touched up. And I speak from personal experience. I will go and I will have a sworn affidavit and say this under oath. Those things were touched up more than anything you've ever seen, from skin blemishes. It was worse than any Instagram model you've ever seen, because they were selling magazines. They were selling the dream. They were selling ads, dude. I had supplement companies, running Brandon's pictures, spending $10 million a year in those magazines. I'm spending $10 million a year, bro. I'm going to touch up some pecs. So what you saw in those magazines in the 90s, in the 2000s, and Brandon brought up something I haven't thought about in years. I haven't even brought up this argument. The pictures you're seeing from back then aren't the
They're
untouched.
not real.
They're not the Instagram filters. These were touched up by professional art people who literally made them look amazing. They made them look like superheroes. And sometimes you'd go and you'd meet them at bodybuilding shows. You see Brandon and you look bigger in person than you do online, because people don't realize your arms are the size of a large child. Your arms are the size of an obese child. And you can't see that in pictures, and it puts it in perspective. Whereas back then, if you saw a bodybuilder in person, like you see Dorian Yates, it was impressive, but sometimes the pictures were so good, you were almost underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Now you see a Brandon or you see a Phil, and you see their 3D muscles, and you're like, holy shit, this exists. Like, this is ridiculous. So great point, Brandon, and that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, I've analyzed it a lot. I've thought about it a lot. It's like something's got to be going on here. So, puts you on the trail. And, you can't really explain it all to people, but I like, I've been in the show business, so I understand lighting, staging. I know which photographers have been the best, because I've worked with several of them. I know, Perry Burnell, I know his skills.
He's phenomenal.
Done photo shoots with him. Yeah, he's one of the most incredible. Man, if you want to look great, make sure Perry shoots you, because he's one of the best photographers, but he's also a crazy editor as well.
Yeah.
It's guys like this that help me learn the game, and even some of the mistakes in the magazine helped me understand that. When I open the MD and I see two legs, and I'm thinking, is that two legs? How do they do that? Meaning two legs on one side of the body. They got an extra leg going into the other page because somebody messed up, and I don't know. But I've seen a couple of abnormalities in magazines that help me understand that they've been touched and played with. So, and some of the Kai Green ones were some of the most legendary ones with the depth of the striations, and he just looked freaking nuts. Like, some of those magazine, spreads of Kai were absolutely insane. And he would never touch that on stage if you compared him to what he looked like in the magazines.
No, and Kai on stage is impressive. I remember Kai came and did a photo. He did his video after he won the Arnold in, what was it, 2015. He came by our gym at Tiger Fitness headquarters, and in person it was like, wow, but it wasn't, you're right. The magazines were a different level of craziness. And yeah, that's something to look at for you cats. Like, looking nowadays, like you're living through, this is the renaissance of bodybuilding. This is the best you're going to see. This is the best there's ever been. Better than Ronnie, better than Jay. I'll put all these guys on stage right now. You look at Big Ramy, like look at back in the day, who was the big, I don't know if you remember this. Remember the guy who was supposed to unseat Ronnie? Remember Fedorov from Russia? Whatever happened to him?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, if someone like Fedorov wouldn't even get looked at right now. So we have, again, people are just looking, you always romanticize the good old days. Like the good old days. It's like the whole, like, you know, I'd hate to get into politics, the whole, like, you know what, America back, I'm like, no, America had some bad times. This is the best it's ever been here. You know, you always look like, man, remember the 80s? Oh, you mean when Cuba was pointing missiles at us? We had a Cold War? I'll take a mask any day of the week over a missile coming from Cuba and Russia with like 8 million nukes landing on us. Like, I'll take that any day of the week. You know, people always look at the past and you only remember the good stuff, right? Like, and it was awesome. Look, it was awesome seeing Ronnie walk on stage at his best in 2003, I believe it is, after Gunther beat him with striated glutes at 290 pounds. I've never seen anything like it, never will again.
Crazy.
But I'll tell you what you guys are going to see at the Olympia this year, what you're going to see from Brandon, just from what I've seen, and again, I don't think he's having Per Bernal or Robert Reif touch up his pictures at all, but you're going to see, you guys are going to see something. I'd hate to hype you up. I know you're not that kind of guy, but you're going to see something special. And hey, I hope Phil brings his 2013 package with some extra trenbolone sandwiches, because I want to see the best of the best go against the best of the best. I want to see Barry Bonds versus Mark McGwire in the home run race. I want to see the greatest Mr. Olympia ever. And this year we're going to see it 100%.
If Phil doesn't bring it, man, that's going to be disappointing. That's not going to do it justice, because I'm about to hear about Phil. If Phil was this, if you competed against Phil in this year and that year, I'm about to hear about all that, which you probably got to hear about that anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Just a thought
it's not going to matter regardless.
Just a thought that occurred to me with Dexter being on stage. Is this going to be the first year in a long time we've had 3 Mr. Olympias on stage?
Wow.
I think it's only been one other time. I think I've heard Sean Ray make that statement.
I think it was back in the day, Arnold, Franco, and Zane, right? Like, it would have been that long ago.
Was it 81?
It would have been that long ago, possibly.
If it was Arnold, Franco, and Zane, that's 81 or 80. One of the two.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was crazy.
This is historical, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited. But Brandon, you got stuff to do. We'd love to do a follow-up podcast. Definitely some things we need to talk about that's going on next year. And I'm sure, you know, people want to hear about it, but we'll leave that on the table for next time. But anything you want to kind of close out with?
Well, I appreciate everybody's support. I get all your messages, whether positive or negative. Even if it's negative, it does provide me entertainment. I'm bored. I want to see where humanity is going these days. But you know, I appreciate it, guys. And like I said, I'm here having fun, enjoying my prep, suffering at the same time, but enjoying this prep. I understand the process, and I'm looking to bring something special. So hold on to your seats. And hopefully you can make it to wherever we're going to have it this year, and come see for yourself.
All right.
If not, they'll do a fantastic live stream.
Absolutely. All right, Brandon. Thank you so much. All the best. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right.
Thanks again.